Most diets are designed to fail from the start. Today, I'm breaking down the 5 biggest reasons why your diet isn't working, and more importantly, what actually does. One of the biggest mistakes I see people make when they're trying to live a healthier lifestyle is simply this. They call it a diet. And you might be wondering, well, why is this a problem? Because when you tell yourself that you are on a diet, it usually means that you are gonna have to cut some foods that you actually enjoy. And it pretty much sets a mental timer. You start counting down the days to eat your next enjoyable meal, and that is just not sustainable. This mindset pretty much leads to cravings, distractions, and binge eating. That's why so many people find themselves pretty much ruining an entire week of progress during the weekend. Instead of calling it a diet, you need to start calling it like your new norm. It's just pretty much part of your life now. Your so-called diet shouldn't be a temporary phase. It should be like your lifestyle. So if you want to be healthier long term, you need to adopt habits that healthy people do. Which in this case, healthy people usually don't say that they are on a diet. Me, for example, I don't consider myself on a diet, especially because I still eat pizza from now and then, or pretty much every weekend. And again, it's not a diet, it's just what I do. Because 80 to 90% of my meals on a week-to-week basis are still what normal people would call being on a diet, but to me it's just eating normally. There's one thing or one problem that a lot of people do, or a trend that people follow, that leads to this trap of failing a diet. And that is following trends like keto, carnivore diets, etc. Which brings me to my second mistake, or the second reason why people aren't able to follow a good diet is going to unnecessary extremes. Like, for example, what I mentioned before, cutting out entire groups of food like carbs, sugar, fats, protein, even fruit and veggies, just to lose a bit of weight short term. And that's the problem. It's short-term loss of weight. But that doesn't really solve the issue in the long term, which is what we need to focus on. When you take an extreme approach to diet, it usually backfires. And why is that? Because you tend to make it harder than what it has to. You might lose weight in the short term, like I said previously, but eventually your old habits creep in because your diet wasn't realistic to begin with. And realistically, you don't need extremes to lose weight, which brings me to mistake number 3, that the only rule that applies to lose weight is calorie deficit. Nothing else matters. Nothing else. And I cannot stress this enough. I will repeat myself 10 times if I have to. The only thing that matters for you to lose weight is to be in a calorie deficit. No matter the disease you have, no matter genetics, no matter anything, if you're in a calorie deficit, you will lose weight. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you're only eating meat or only plants, meaning vegan, just kidding. Or basically you avoid pizza or you avoid bread. It doesn't matter. You can even lose weight while only eating pizza, for example. The only thing that really matters for you to lose weight is the difference between how much energy you consume versus how much energy you expend throughout your day. That's the law of thermodynamics. Nothing else matters. Weight loss is not about cutting fats, sugar, carbs, whatever. It's about eating less overall. And the simplest path to do this is to simply reduce the amount of food you eat and not cutting it all out. Mistake number 4, and I'll go a bit against what the fitness culture tells you to do, which is tracking macros. I actually think one of the reasons why so many people fail their diets is because they track macros. Now, if you want to fast track into losing weight, you need to count your macros. Don't get me wrong. But the most sustainable way in long term to lose weight isn't by counting macros. Can you imagine yourself counting every single macro for the rest of your life? Chances are probably not. Neither do I. So how can we fix this? Well, you will have to learn how to track macros. For a month or two, you will have to learn how to basically view what is on your plate. How many calories roughly is there? The only way to do this really is to simply learn how much is in each plate. And for that, you need to count your macros. But after 1 month or 2 of counting macros like this, you should probably start to slow down this counting of macros. Because again, it is just not sustainable. And I think most of us just prefer to intuitive eat. Basically, every time you're hungry, you just eat. I do it right now because, again, I spent more than 1 or 2 months learning how to basically track macros. And once you do that, things start to be way easier when it comes to dieting again. It just starts to become part of your life. If tracking is making you miserable, it's defeating the whole purpose. We are aiming for sustainability, not perfection. And you might be stuck in this loop of always tracking your macros. I would advise you to maybe not do it, because at the end of the day, you want to do this, or hopefully you want to live a healthy lifestyle for forever, basically. So if your progress is a bit slower just because you're not counting macros, I would take it as a win, because you shouldn't really want to rush things that quickly, considering you want to do this for the rest of your life. Again, if you have a specific timeline to achieve a certain goal, then obviously maybe macros could be a good option. But again, I am against calculating macros every single day. Again, every single day. And the fifth reason, or the fifth mistake a lot of people make that make them basically fail their nutrition or their diet, is not working out. And no, you don't need to work out to lose weight. That is correct. Again, you don't need to work out to lose weight. Again, what matters is calorie deficit. However, there have been a lot of meta-analysis and a lot of reviews on studies that show that people who do work out keep the weight off for longer, rather than people who just simply are in a calorie deficit. Meaning, people who tend to work out and eat in a calorie deficit build discipline, build good habits and a good lifestyle, enabling them to keep the weight off. So if you want to lose weight long term, and if you want to keep having healthy habits, living a better life, being healthier, you have to work out no matter what. Again, yes, you can lose weight with only a calorie deficit, but if you don't work out, chances are in 1 year or 2, you will regain the weight. So if you want to keep the weight off and actually improve your body composition and look better and feel better, you need to start working out. Simple as that. And with that being said, check out these 2 videos because YouTube thinks that you'll enjoy them. Hey, maybe you do. Thank you very much. I'll see you next time. And don't forget, build habits, not diets.